because it's a very triggered word. If I started talking about black women, I may not be talking about you at all, but I know I can trigger you by just saying black women or black men or white man or white women. I'm not talking about anybody in specific. I'm just using a generalized term. And so if I wanted to trigger people, I could just use these generalized terms. So it's important to connect to your individuality so you do not become triggered, okay? And trigger has a lot to do with emotions, and emotions have a lot to do with glamour. What is glamour? Glamour is subtle and emotion is your subtle and emotional body. Just the emotional subtleness of life that you feel, that you just don't, you feel like this is a good situation, bad situation, and things of that nature. Glamour is everything physical, to the point that your house represents glamour, your car represents glamour, your body represents glamour. So whether you have a six pack and whether you have a nice body, that represents glamour, right? So say for instance I got a six pack, right? And I beat you. What does that six pack matter? A six pack only got me into the door. So you understand, not to say that people with six packs beat on women. I'm saying that it's easier for me to play or get closer to you by playing on your glamour, because I know that if these physical things can get me into your home or get me into your life, then I can be able to spew all type of negative vibrations. So generally you have to rise above emotions, you have to go deeper into it. But I'm bringing up the word glamour because glamour is an alteration of the word grammar. And so grammar, I said grammar, not glamour. Glamour and grammar are basically the same words. And so the etymology of the word glamour is simply magic and enchantment. So what is magic and enchantment? You have to put your mind back into an ancient hunter-gatherer mind. Everything is the same. It's just trees, leaves, oceans, rivers, mountains, hills, lakes, valleys. When does glamour come into play? When somebody gets the bright idea that I could build a house, or I could start to build different things. I can build cities and I can wear jewelry and things of that nature. What does that actually mean, though, in the scheme of things? It might mean that you have a more comfortable existence, but ultimately, when you speak of your primal self, what you're hardwired to really feel is not connected to the physical things, the nice cars and things of that nature. That's more of a subtle emotional thing. You think that a Lamborghini holds this particular emotional frequency, and it may or may not, but ultimately it's just a part of glamour. And so if I can instill these values in you early, then it doesn't matter. I got you. And everything that you do outside of it, it really don't matter. So if we were to really want to break the spell, we have to step outside of glamour. We have to understand where this glamour is coming from. First of all, this glamour is coming from a Scottish Anglo-Saxon mindset. So if you don't understand that, okay, I just want to have a nice house and I want to have a lot of money and I want to do all of these things. Okay, but you got to understand that you don't want that because you naturally want that. You want that because that's a particular program in the subconscious route that these Anglo-Saxons has given you. Because whether or not you know it or not, you went to school. When you went to school, you were programmed for 8 hours, 5 days a week for 12 years. And that's enough time to fully indoctrinate you into a system that, unless you know how to fully unindoctrinate yourself out of the system, then you're stuck in it for life. And so, because what are they doing? They're using magic, they're using enchantment, they're using spells, glamour. The verb of glamour means to encharm, to enchant, to charm, to bewitch. So glamour and grammar, what is the definition of grammar? Grammar is the whole system and structure of a language. So the whole system and structure of a language is based upon magic and enchantment. So when you go to school and you learn grammar, you're actually learning glamour. You're actually learning magic and enchantment, but it's not called magic and enchantment. It's called English or language arts or something mundane. So you don't know that you're actually getting a spell put on you. You'll actually think that it's a part of the educational system which is not. It's actually a system that's specifically taught to teach you the English language in such a way that you don't know the flip side to it. And so the whole system and structure of a language is taught to you. Like, you're not taught how to speak, you're taught diction and syntax. Syntax is the way that you put words together, and diction is the different variables and changes that you can make into a sentence. And so if you didn't go to school, you would normally have a different way of talking and communicating, but then you take that normal way and bring it into school, and they just like, Tyrone, you can't say that. You can't greet people like that. You know, you sit up straight and do all the stand in a straight line and all these things, and kind of like really get you into a place. So it's really important that children and parents get out of Western education systems. Like, there's no other way around it. Because if you think that I know that you feel as though you have to work and you don't have enough time for your child, and you put bucks over, you know, your child's livelihood, but generally you'll make it, you'll be all right, you'll figure it out. Because ultimately we have to do things more and better than just strictly being slaves and strictly being subjugated to their system. We have to think about coming together and forming systems outside of it. And so we have to begin to speak the spell into existence. So if you say, well, I have to work, I don't have anybody to take care of my kid, I can't work and then homeschool my child, those are words, those are spells that you're putting on yourself. So generally, we'll make enough money, we'll be all right, we'll have enough money and we'll have enough resources, and we'll figure it out to where we can homeschool and we can begin to teach kids without putting them through spells and magical procedures that cause harm. Because that's what the term spell is generally used for. What is the spell? The first thing you learn when you go to school is how to spell. Words are spelled to create a sentence of term. Think of a jail sentence or a prison term. If I'm telling you a spiel, I'm telling you a story, a saying, a tale, history, narrative, fable, discourse, or command. If I'm telling you what you get on your spelling test, 10 out of 10. Great job, Tyrone. You get an A. We gonna go to McDonald's. But you know, you're not realizing that he has completely put himself into a matrix that he's not necessarily going to get out, because in his mind, in our minds, we actually think that we're doing the right thing. And no matter how we feel and no matter what our soul says, we can't get to our souls. That's why consciousness is so difficult for us, because the spell is so deep. Because what is the spell? The meaning, set of words with supposed magical occult powers, incantations, and charm. A spell is generally used for magical procedures which cause harm or force people to do something against their will. Now, if you don't know the spell, then 9 times out of 10, you on one. You under one. If you didn't break it, that means you still under it. If you went to public school, it was a spell being put down. And of course you wouldn't know about it. You're not supposed to know about it. That's what makes it a good spell. And that's why we put this video titled Breaking the Spell, bringing you to awareness. And I'm not the only one who talks information like this, man. You gotta Google Yafa Bey or search YouTube Yafa Bey, Piercing the Fog. That was, 10 years ago, man. 10 years ago we've been dealing with this. So if this is new to you, please catch up. Please get into it, because our words create our reality. And that's the only thing that does create our reality. Money doesn't create our reality. Love don't create our reality. Our words do.